here today at our Protect Kids rally, sponsored by the Child Protection League. We're gathered here this afternoon because we're committed to stopping the harmful materials that comprehensive sex education promoters want your young children and grandchildren exposed to. Friends, silence is no longer an option. The legislature may not be in session today, but I assure you, members have been and are hearing your voices loudly and clearly. A comprehensive sex ed mandate on Minnesota schools is unacceptable to the people of this great state, as you are demonstrating with boldness today. When the Comprehensive Sex Education Bill, House File 1414, reared its ugly head last session, the Child Protection League mobilized and informed the public that the radical Planned Parenthood was behind it. Not only did the concerned public respond to that call to action, but legislators in the House responded with heroic courage as well. And the proponents of comprehensive sex education were blindsided by what had just hit them. Because you and the Child Protection League remained vigilant and made your presence felt at the committee hearings, the CSE mandate was not included in any House or Senate compromise legislation. Now, as the bill sits barely alive in this current biennium, we the people have been on a march in communities across the state, spreading the word about the grave dangers CSE poses to the well-being of children. And we've made the bill completely radioactive. Thank you. There was a time, and not too long, when adults protected young people from premature graphic sex information and sexual activity because childhood innocence was considered worthy of protection. We believed that children should gain maturity before being exposed to the harsh and crude realities of life. It only takes a moment to rob a child of his or her innocence, and that can never be restored. You cannot unteach or unsee a sexually graphic image. It's burned into a young child's mind and memory forever. CSE is an ideology that aims to demolish every standard of sexual behavior by detaching sexuality from the anchor of morality. Today, Planned Parenthood and radical sex educators are using comprehensive sex ed to destroy the innocence of young children by exposing them to raw graphic sexual behaviors they're simply not prepared to handle, including the teaching of multiple sexual orientations, identities, and acts. As stated on the back of the literature piece, according to the FBI, sexual predators, quote, groom children with pornographic images and explicit sexual instruction to remove natural defenses. We call that criminal, while Planned Parenthood calls that, quote, education, unquote, and says it's perfectly normal. We're here today because all of us want to send a message to our legislators that we expect them to protect our children from the psychological trauma of exposure to comprehensive sexual education and its forced sexualization of children. This rally, along with the momentum we've built, will continue to build upon right up to and through the upcoming 2020 legislative session. We'll deliver the final blow to the CSE mandate. They won't dare touch it with you at the ready. And they know we'll be watching. But friends, please know that we've only just begun. This rally is but the first phase of our strategy to stop CSE. Not just for now, but for good. There must never be a mandate for CSE in Minnesota. I've heard so many as I've been out and about speaking with so many. Not with our kids, you won't. You are needed in this war against our precious, innocent children. Boots on the ground in a united army of tenacious, informed citizens required to combat this threat. And make no mistake, this battle will not end with the next legislative session. We know those pushing this agenda will simply and try again in 2021, if unsuccessful next year. We'll need to remain vigilant to ensure they fail at doing so. Today, you're going to hear from several speakers who are on the front lines fighting the cultural assault on our children. But before we introduce our speakers, I'd like to recognize each of the legislators, many of whom I've had the great privilege of serving in the Minnesota House, who chose to stand with us today. We're so very grateful that each and every one of you are here. Also, I'd like to make mention and express appreciation for a number of others that are in our presence today. I would like to acknowledge that U.S. Senate candidate Jason Lewis is here. I don't know where Jason is right now, but yes, very good. But I would like to personally thank Jason for being here and engaged in this fight with us. And I also understand that U.S. 3rd Congressional District, Kendall Qualls, is here with us, and I would like to acknowledge his presence as well. Thank you, gentlemen. So I would now like to honor and express appreciation for our legislators, beginning with Representative Greg Bowe. Just if you could just give a wave. Representative Brian Daniels. Representative Detmer. Representative Sandra Erickson. Representative Steve Green. Representative Glenn Grunhagen. Representative Eric Lucero. Representative Shane Meckland. Representative Kristen Robbins. Representative Peggy Scott. Representative Tim Miller. And Representative Jeremy Munson. And Representative, last but not least, Bob Detmer. We also have a number of senators here with us, which is wonderful. Representative Bruce Anderson, Senator Bruce Anderson. Senator Roger Chamberlain. And I see Senator Andrew Matthews. Thank you. And Senator Jeff Howe, my former House colleague, and Senator Mark Coran.